Hi, one more stop in Chapter 7, Power of Critical Thinking, 7th edition. It's a little bit daunting at times to look at some of these arguments and think about how they work together and everything. Take a breath, do one line at a time, everything will be fine. While you're watching this video, when I get to the different arguments, you might want to do the pause and go a little bit, so you get some practice on figuring these things out on your own. I'll write the argument down, and then you can pause me and you can kind of figure out your top line and then make it go again and see what I did, see what you did, fix things, pause, do the truth table, and then come back again. I'm going to do a few at the end here, and then I will probably get some, at least for this particular piece, walk through a couple other things for you as homework guides. But we are going to do one of the homework possibilities. I don't think it's on your homework this time, but it might be on whoever's watching this later on homework. I don't know. Anyway, I change things around, and then, sometimes I give away answers, and I think that's okay. So, Chapter 7C is just the section on tricky arguments. Okay, so it runs from that middle of page 245 to the middle of page 248. Stop where it says streamlined evaluation. Now, if you want the extra credit, if this is kind of fun for you or, whatever, go through, read that, see what you can do with it. I'm not going to do a video on it. I'm not going to spend time on it in class, as it were. But if you want to do that, by all means, you can. Just make sure that you follow the directions correctly on any homework stuff and that you're not giving this up, okay? So you're not messing things up. If it says you need a whole truth table, you need a whole truth table. Just because you can do the streamlined version doesn't mean you always should. Okay, so keep that in mind as well. Okay, let's look at page 245. Okay, one of the ways that we're going to have pieces here, one of the ways that we can illustrate a more complex argument is by using parentheses. And just like in math, regular math, when we use parentheses, things change. Okay, where we put the parentheses matters. Okay, and the book gives you this little change here. Okay, 2 times 3 plus 4. If you put the parentheses around 2 times 3, your answer is 10. If you put the parentheses around 3 plus 4, then your answer is 14. Because we always do the parentheses first in math, right? So, PEMDAS, please excuse my dear Aunt Sandy, Sally, whatever. But that's the order, right? Parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, add, subtract. That's your order of operations. And just like the order of operations changes the answer, okay? 2 times 3 is 6, plus 4 is 10. 2 times 3 plus 4, which is 7, is 14. So where we put the parentheses matters, okay? And so I'm going to show you a little bit here. If I have my negation outside the parentheses for P and Q, it's going to be a slightly different ending than not P and not Q, okay? So, what's the other one? Oh, yeah, not P and Q, okay? Those are 3 different sets of operations here. Okay, good. Sorry, my brain goes weird a little bit. So if I'm going to do this just like a little truth table, so P and Q, I only have my 2 variables right now. And I'm going to need a little bit extra, right? Because I have 2 here, 3 there, 2 there. I'm going to have to get rid of some things, right? So in my first line, my easiest thing to do is that P and Q. And then I can negate it in my normal spot over there. And then I'm also going to need not P and not Q, so I can get that one down to 1. So not P Q. Okay, and then that one already has a not P, so we're all good. That's my guide, okay? And I have my normal, true, true, false, false, true, false, true, false. We've been doing that since the beginning, so that's not bad. P and Q, okay? True, false, false, false. Not P and not Q. Give them a different color here. Not P is opposite day, so false, false, true, true. Not Q, also opposite day, false, true, false, true. So my guide is done. Now, I didn't give myself a lot of room there, did I? So I'm going to write them kind of funny. You're going to have to look. So this is not P and Q, not P and not Q, and not P and Q. We're not really making an argument here, so I'm just showing you the different relationships. And I should do those in different colors. But no, okay, it's fine. So if my premise here is not P and Q, so I'm going to be opposite day from this column, okay? So false, true, true, true. And you ask me, how did I do that? Well, this set of truth values is for the expression of P and Q, okay? So I just want it to be not P and Q. So I just opposite day this column, okay? Now, the next one, not P and not Q, is very interesting, okay? I'm going to use these two for that, okay? Not P, not Q, I'm going to and them. So this is false, this is false, this is false, this is true. You can already see there's a big difference in my truth values depending upon where I put, or if I put, that particular set of parentheses up there. Okay, so if I write it without the parentheses, not P, okay, so I'm going to use not P and regular Q. And these are anded as well, okay? So, going down my rows, true and false, false and false, false and true. Oh, I did that wrong. Sorry, hold on, let me back up. Okay, I should have one. Okay, so I'm looking at the ones in here. True and false is false. False and false is false. True and true is true. False and true is false. Okay, very different truth values based on whether you use parentheses and where you put them. Okay, so just kind of keep that, again, running around in your head and see how things turn out. Okay, be careful when you're translating into standard form anything that is a word problem. Okay, either write it on your page and mark it up, or mark it up in the book. That's up to you. Depends on what kind of book you have and how you have it. If you bought the book, mark it up. If you didn't buy your book, don't mark it up. Okay, so write it out. It's okay. It won't hurt you. Okay, I want to look at a couple of things argument-wise. And we have an actual argument here, and I'm going to mark. He didn't give us words. He gave us just those. Okay. We'll play with some words ones as well. So if you have the normal kind of stuff, okay, so this is going to be my example A. Okay. If P, then not Q and R. P, therefore not Q and R. Okay, it's a slight difference to our normal stuff here. So, but we have 3 variables, so we have to think about this, right? We need more rows. So if I have my two truth values and I raise it to the third power because I have 3 variables, that is 8 rows. And yes, every time you add a variable, you double the number of rows you need. The biggest one I ever did was 9 variables, and that's 1,024 lines. This was back before, well, I don't know that there is a program. Oh, there probably is a program out there to do it for you, but yeah, 1,000 rows. That was part of our final exam, so that was great. We're not going to go there. This is as high as we're going to go. 3 variables, 8 rows. So if you ever think I gave you a problem, or Dr. Vaughn gave you a problem that has 5 variables, re-look at it, okay? Just because something is a not doesn't mean it's a new variable. Just because it's not phrased exactly the same, if it means the same thing, then you have a variable, the same variable, okay? And we'll play with a few of those. Okay, our half and half rule also breaks down a little bit. Okay, half of 8 is 4 by 4. Half of 4 is 2 by 2. And then the half and half rule for R equals 1 by 1. Okay, remember our last variable is always our 1 by 1. Okay, so I have 3 variables. And I'm going to try to make this as tight as I can here. Okay, P, Q, and R. Now, in this top piece, I have 3 symbols. I need to get down to 1. Okay, easy way, Q and R, it's in parentheses. Start there, always. That helps you. That gets rid of 1. Okay, and then you're going to also need the not Q and R, so that you get down to just that 1. This is my only piece I have to work with, okay? I have P already, I have a not Q and R already, so I'm good. That's my guide. My argument gets the same thing we've been doing. Okay, P, if P, then not Q and R. P, therefore not Q and R. Okay. For me, personally, it doesn't matter whether my P's and Q's and R's are capitals or lower cases, they're always the same. That's not a different variable, okay? My shorthand sometimes gets too short. Okay, so, ta-da-ta-da. Now, my half and half, okay? My P's now, instead of being 2 by 2s, are 4 by 4s because I have 8 rows. So half and half, true, 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 false, 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 false. One thing I do here on the board is I go down the middle there, so I kind of have a chance of keeping things equal. Yeah, anyway. Okay, so that's P. Half of 4 is 2, so my Q is true, true, false, false, true, true, false, false. Now you'll notice I have 2 of each set, okay? So I've already made 4 of these unique instead of 8. So now my R comes in 1 by 1. True, false, true, false, true, false, true, false. Okay? Once you've done this like this once, this is the same way all the time. These first 3 columns should always, always, always look like this, regardless. Okay? If you have 3 variables, it should look like this. Now we get to play with some other pieces. Okay? So Q and R, I'm just going to look at Q and R. I'm going to forget that P exists. Q and R, true, false, 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 true, false, false, false. Okay? And not Q and R, as we found out before, is just the opposite day for this one. Okay, so wherever this one's true, this one's false. Wherever that one's false, this one's true. Remember, the negate sign always gives you opposite day. Okay, there's my guide. That's all I have to do. Now I can get to the real part of my argument. Now, we know that P shows up over here as well. And regardless of where it shows up in mix, P on the first line is always true. P on the second line, true, true, true. Fifth line, false, 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 false. Okay? That one we know. We also know our last guy, right? Sorry, everything's guy. False on the first line, true, true, true. False on the fifth line, true, true, true. Whenever the column headings match, the column itself should match. Okay? So the only one we have to play with at all is this if P, then not Q and R. Okay? So not Q and R is this set of truth values. P is this set of truth values. Okay? And we know that our arrow is going the same way. Give myself a reminder. Okay, so if true, then false is false. If true, then true is true. If true, then true, true. If true, then true, true. If false is always true. So my first one is false, so I just go true all the way down. Okay? So now we have to check for validity. Once we've got it all done, then we check for validity. And we're going to check for validity by looking for false conclusions. Here's one. And I have one false premise as well, so that's okay. Here's my other false conclusion. It also has one false premise, so both of these are fine, and this is a valid argument. Not too horrible, but you have to pay attention. You have to track across the lines, okay? Much easier when you have lines, let me tell you. I like to use graph paper when I'm doing these. It helps because you put one thing in each box, right? And then that's it. So, remember your guide helps you figure out the relationships and the truth values for your premises and your conclusion. When you get to the validity part, the only thing that matters is your argument, okay? Premises and conclusions only. And then we look at our false conclusions and make sure it has at least one false premise. If it has all true premises and a false conclusion, we have an invalid argument. Okay. This one happens to be valid. Woo-hoo. Okay. I have a couple others. Let's see. Okay. Let's do this one from the book. It's kind of fun. Way back at the beginning of the chapter, before we did anything else, Dr. Vaughn gave us this 5-step problem, okay? And I'm going to show you how I make these out in the homework so that you have a guide here. On page 230 at the bottom and the top of 231, okay, he says what we're going to do in this chapter is going to help you figure out whether this particular argument could be valid or invalid. And he's right. We can do this as a truth table. And I'm going to show you a couple of things here, okay? Again, use color, use underlining, do whatever you're going to do. I'm not going to write this all out because it's long. I am going to show you what I write down when I do the actual peace. Oh, I didn't. Okay. So I start out with my words. Okay, the United States will be secure and prosperous only if it shares more of its resources with the impoverished or discontented peoples of the world. The United States will share more of its resources with the impoverished or discontented people of the world only if doing so will not significantly reduce American standard of living. If American standards of living is significantly reduced, then either the United States will not be secure and prosperous, or it will not share more of its resources with the impoverished or discontented peoples of the world. The United States will not share more of its resources with the impoverished or discontented peoples of the world. Therefore, the United States will not be secure and prosperous. Okay? So, you think, oh my goodness, how many variables are there? 3. Just 3. So how you figure this out is you go through and you mark things, okay? So what I write on this is my page 230 thing. I write things like, okay, P, the first phrasing is U.S. will be secure. Now, it's a lot longer than that. Secure and prosperous, okay? That's my P. The next piece of phrasing, my Q, is only if, okay? It shares more of its resources. U.S. shares resources. Okay, that's my Q. And I have that in the second one, it will share, only if doing so will not significantly reduce American standard of living. Every time I choose my variables, I want my variables to be in the positive form, so no nots. Okay, so my R is U.S. standard of living is reduced. Okay, so those are my variables. Okay, when I go back and I mark these up. Okay, you can't really see very much of that, but anyway, the United States will be secure is my P. I mark that. That's in the first premise and the third premise and in the conclusion. Okay, there are 3 places for that. Sharing more is also in 4 places actually. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then the significantly reduce is in 2 and 3. So, how does this argument lay out? It lays out like this. Okay, so my first premise is if Q, then P. My second premise works out to be Q, then not R. The third one is if R, then not P or not Q. 4 is just not Q. And then the fifth one, the conclusion, is not P. Okay? That's my argument. And I have this giant truth table. And so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to erase this middle part because you know this, right? It's impossible for a valid argument to have all true premises and a false conclusion. And we do these things. Okay, so I need more space. Sorry. So if you need that again, you can back me up. Hopefully it's already in your notes. You can look. Okay. So this is my argument. Okay, taken straight from the book. And I'm going to make a truth table. I'm going to find out if it's valid or not. I have P and Q and R. Okay. I'm going to need a not R. I'm going to need a not P and a not Q, and then that guy too. So, okay, so not P, not Q, not R, and then not P or not Q. I have those others, so okay. Wonk. Okay, so then I need 5 places here. Sometimes, if I run out of space, I will just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have them numbered here, I have them numbered over here. That's what I'm doing, because I have all my pieces like that, okay? So, make my thing up, same way I always do, half and half, 4 truths, 4 falses. I do my little, keep me on the straight and narrow. He's probably not straight and narrow though, so, anyway. This set of 3 should look the same as my left set of 3 and my next set of 3. This is always, always, always the same. It always looks this way, and it's the only way to really get all the unique ways and combinations together without hurting your brain. So it just always goes like this. And then we have falses, not falses. We have negations. Okay, so the negations are opposite day. So I know 4 falses and 4 truths. And then 2 falses, 2 truths, 2 falses, 2 truths. And if you're looking, okay, opposite, 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 all the way down. Okay. R is my last one, so it's a one-to-one. False, true, false, true, false, true, false, true. Okay? And if you look, we're upside down, right? 3 truths, 3 truths. 2 TF, 2 TF, TFT. Okay, so it's backwards that way. So the next thing I'm going to do is not P or not Q. So this is these 2. Okay? And it's an or, so the only time our disjunct is false is when both parts are false. I have those 2 right here. False, false. I have 1 true in each one of these at least. And so there we go. Okay, so now I'm looking at, this will be interesting. Q, if Q, then P. It's my first premise, okay? And yes, it's P and Q, but they're backwards, okay? So my arrow is actually going this way when I'm looking at Q first and then P, okay? So I have to be careful. If my antecedent is true, but my consequent is false, that's what I'm looking for. Oh, down here. Okay, so I have a false here and a false here. Everybody else is true. Now you can check your little guides and it'll tell you the same thing, but that's how it works, okay? Now I have, if Q, then not R. Okay, so this time I'm looking at this column and the not R column. Okay, and I'm going this way. So I can do it even and equal all the way down. Okay, so if true then false is false. If true then true is true. If false, if you start with false, you always have a true. Okay? True to false is false. True to true is true. False. There you go. Okay? Not too horrible. 3. This is our horrible one. Not really horrible, but still. So I have the truth value for the expression not P or not Q. That's my list right there, okay? And I have R. Okay, the only one that's still open over here. These guys get connected with an if then. So my true to false is false. My false is always true. True to true is true. False. True to true is true. False is true. True to true is true. False to true is true. Okay? Lots of truth there. Okay? Now we have some easy ones. Thank goodness, huh? So not Q is here. False, false, true, true, all the way down. False, false, true, true, false, false, true, true. And then not P so I have 4 false conclusions that I have to check. And as long as each of these false conclusions has at least one false premise, we're good, right? So here's the first one. Oh, he has plenty of false things, so he's okay. False, false, has 1 false, so he's okay. Here we go. And actually, we have 2 of them. So this third row has a false conclusion, and all 4 premises are true. So this is invalid. Okay? Now, you don't have to draw all the blah, blah, blah on there and all that, but you do need to check each of your rows that have a false conclusion and make sure it has at least 1 false premise or it's invalid. And so this one is invalid. Okay, let's see. I have 2 more of these I want to do. One is just because. The other one is one of our pieces for homework. So I'm going to erase all this. So pause me if you don't have it written down yet. Okay. This is one of my made-up guys. And I don't know. So this will be B, because we did an example already. P and Q and R. Not P, then not R. P and Q, then not R. R, therefore not Q. Okay? One of the fun things about making up these arguments is you don't have to worry about what it says. It's just all the functions. It's kind of fun. Okay, so on this one, I don't have to worry about words. I just have to figure it out. So I have P and Q and R, which is pretty normal, right? P and Q and R. In my first one, I have 2 symbols, so I have to get rid of 1. So that's P and Q. That's the easy one to do. On this one, I have 3 symbols, so I'm going to need a not P and a not R. I have the P and Q, and I have a not R, so that one's okay. We have an R, and we'll do a not Q at the end. So happiness, that's it. So that's what I need in my guide. And then... okay, so we have P and Q and R, not P, then not R. P and Q, then not R. R, therefore not Q. Okay, it looks sort of like a mean face there. Okay, so then I have to go and just crank it out. Okay, I know my half and half is 4 and 4. And then we do this all the way there. Half and half of this is 2 by 2. Half of 2 is 1 by 1. Okay. First guide, P and Q, 2 trues are true. A false at all is a false, so the rest of these are all false. Not P, opposite day, right? Not P is my 4 falses, and then 4 trues. Not R, my last one here, every other. And since I'm at it, Q is my doubles, so false, false, true, true. Okay. I also have an easy one here in the R. It's true, false, true, false. Remember, the same variable on the same row has to have the same value. So, true, false, true, false. Okay, now we got to do the rest of this. P and Q and R. Okay, so I'm looking at these 2 columns and I'm going to AND them. So any place I see 2 trues is true. Any place where there's a false is a false, right? Because we have to have both true statements for our conjunction to be true. So just once. This one, not if not P, then not R. We're lucky-ish. They have them together, and they're going to go this way. So I have 2 places where it's a false. True to false is false. Everything else is true. So I can just do this, make it easy on myself. Okay. And then the last one is if P and Q, then not R. And I'm using that same box from here, but I'm making sure I know I'm going that way. This is my antecedent, this is my consequent, so I have to make sure I'm putting them in the right order. If true, then false is my only false, so I have to go down there, and that's it. Everybody else is true. Any conditional, oh, well, I spread those out quite a bit. Let's see what we're doing here. Okay. Here. Of course, you know, when I do things like that, it gets kind of weird. Okay, so then I have to figure out if I'm valid or not. This one has at least 1, so he's okay. This one has at least 1. This one has at least 1. This one does not. False with all true premises means, yet again, invalid. Okay? Much easier with lines, sorry. Brain gets on me. Okay, I want to do one more. And this is going to come from the homework area anyway. I don't think I assigned this one. On page 253, exercise 7.9, number 6 is going to be our last one for today. Okay, so this is 7.9, number 6. Okay, so again, I take the argument and I mark it up. Okay, so the argument is either Emilio walks or he takes the train. and either Joanne takes the train or she does not take the train. If Emilio walks, then Joanne takes the train. Emilio takes the train, so Joanne will not take the train. Okay? Again, these are kind of silly, but here we go. Okay? So my first piece, my P is Emilio walks. My Q is Emilio takes the train. And my R is Joanne takes the train. Okay? That's my argument pieces, okay? So my first sentence says, either Emilio walks or he takes the train, okay? So P or Q. And either Joanne takes the train or she does not take the train. Now, in this case, we have a second premise. The and there is not used as our formal conjunction. It's a language thing, okay? And we know this because our next word is either. Okay, so we have another one of those. So either Joanne takes the train or she does not take the train. Okay, so R or not R. Okay? If Emilio walks, so if P, then Joanne takes the train, then R. When you have complex sentences and you have an if at the beginning, make sure that you find where the then is, and that's where the arrow goes. Okay? That'll be important later. Emilio takes the train is Q. So Joanne will not take the train, so not R. So there's our argument. Okay? Now, I'm going to set up my guide, and I'm going to set up the rest of the argument. Pause me and go do same, and then come back. Now, I know that sometimes when we're looking at these, we have way too many things to do at a time. Only do one sentence at a time, one premise at a time, and make sure that you get all the pieces, okay? Circle your knots, circle the if then, circle or, okay, so you know where your symbols go. If then, okay? Any place the then is, that's where the arrow goes, okay? So here's my piece. I have P, Q, and R, because that's what I have. This second row here has two symbols, so I did the not R. Okay, and then that's my guide. The rest of it is all argument. So I have premise, 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 conclusion. Okay? And we're going to set it up like we always do. So it's 4 truths, 4 falses. And then I try this. And we'll see what happens. Okay. Half and half of that is 2 truths, 2 falses, 2 truths, 2 falses. And then half of that is 1 by 1. So true, false, true, false, true, false, true, false. Okay? Check and see if that's what you have. If not, go back and look and see what you missed. Okay? And then come back to us. Here is, I'm just going to power through the rest of this, right? Opposite day. And that's our conclusion as well. Okay, now we have fun. Oh, and then we have a Q. We have that Q too, we can put up. Q, true, true, false, false. not too horrible. Okay, so now we're going to do P or Q. Okay, the first two, we're going to not look at the other, not look at R, just P or Q. And anything that has at least one true is true. Okay? False and false is false. That's the only place it's false. Now, this next one is kind of fun because you're going to look here. R or not R. Okay, so I'm going to look at these two columns on an OR. And if you notice, remember, we are opposite day. So there's a true and a false in each line. All of them are true. Anytime you have a variable or not that same variable, they're all true. Once you get that to the conclusion, then you don't have to worry about anybody's false. Okay. And then we have if P, then Q. Okay, we're using these first two again, and we know we're going this way, normal order. So true, true, false, false, true, 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 true. Okay, yeah, kind of better. So now I have 4 possibilities. I have 4 false conclusions. I have to see if any of them are a false conclusion and all true premises, which I have in my very first row. So we are invalid. Okay? This one's also invalid. The other 2 will be valid, but it only takes 1. Remember, 1 drop of poison, we don't drink the water. Okay? So that gives you number 6 in 7.9 as an example. Remember that the ones that are starred also have their answers in the back of the book, so you can kind of see how things are done. And we have, homework on those. We're also going to do integrated exercises for Chapter 7 after we're done with 7C. A little bit more practice. If you're doing the extra credit for the short method, that's number 15. The rest of these are all normal stuff. So have that. Again, I'm going to try to make some homework ones so that you have some more practice. You have some more visuals of that. But practice these, okay? Put your notes away and everything, and then just go through and see what you can do. Pause and play, and that will give you some practice where you have your answers. There are lots of folks who do truth tables out there. Some of them are way over my head, but see what you have. I hope that makes sense to you. If it doesn't, play me again. If it also doesn't, ask questions. Okay, so hope you have a great day, and you know how to get a hold of me.